So they would really want to get this race won.
Yeah, so we're going to be looking for a lot of different things from our runners today. High quality execution. They may even try to metagame each other, see if they can find a way to use somebody else's decisions against them. And we get the "well, excuse me, princess" line from the uncle. So apparently we have a CDI reference here and a piece of art.
I must make one minor correction there. That's a reference to the 90s cartoon show.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Sorry, I was a little young at that time.
Equally cheesy.
All I think of is like the Hotel Mario stuff at that point. But I mean, obviously that's CDI, not the. but the good cartoon reference. I like it. All right. Well, we've got King of Burna to start off. So we've got a lot of magic management to worry about here in Escape. No bombs available to us until we find... Ooh, Dracarys gets one right away.
Right, so we know that the first drop in the Dagger Guards pack is a bomb, but I don't know if HexMage will have the occasion to defeat another Dagger Guard, depending on what we're doing here.
Yeah, as far as most enemies in this game go, they're going to have, for the most part, a 50% drop rate for the prize pack contents, and the contents of the prize packs individually are what are randomized, but the enemies that share them are not. So we'll have a little bit of knowledge on our end about what could potentially get our runners bombs, but our runners will have to just keep killing things until they find one.
So we do apologize, but Dracarys has been having a few little internet issues throughout this, so his stream may be intermittent, but we will attempt to update you on that as soon as, or as best we can.
Yep, but at the very least, we did find out he did get a bomb, so he's very likely to, while he may still kill things along the way, probably doesn't need to kill as many. And HexMage also finding a bomb from one of those guards on his way to the Zelda cage.
So the blue sword guard also having a bomb in its drop pool, and that will, prompt a much smaller amount of farming from HexMage. HexMage actually deactivated the cane before it was really time to do so there. Going to waste a little bit of magic.
Well, so this could present a couple of issues, but at this point, we should be able to pick up enough magic pots or decanters in the back half of Escape to kill everything that we need to. That key rat's the big one. We do have a ball and chain guard down here and potentially a green guard that we're going to want to kill, but we do have 3 pots with which we could do.
Right, and if HexMage needs more magic to kill the key rat, there are some pots along the way with magic underneath them before you get there.
Well, 3-pot strats here in the Zelda basement. We're going to check this chest and bring Zelda with us. We get a map, so that means we will definitely have an item in the sanctuary. Well, I got to admire the fortitude of HexMage. Having killed one of his own kind, he is playing as the ball and chain guard sprite, actually, and this will eventually become a gold one, I believe.
Yeah, and this is one of the, newer sprites, and it's really... This one and, like, the castle guard sprite, both of those are really good.
Yeah, I mean, do you have a favorite sprite that you always use?
I don't, because I really like to just kind of mix it up. A lot of times I like to say that I don't choose the sprites choose me. But that being said, there are a few sprites that I've outlawed because they make the shadow almost invisible and it's hard to use.
Well, there are nearly 100 selections that you can choose from, and every time we update the, or every time that the randomizer is updated, usually there are extra sprites being added as well. Well, back to the mantle at about 4:40, walking into the back half of Escape. A little hard-pressed to try and get ourselves a 6-minute escape, but with Burna or Cane of Brian, definitely not that disappointing to be, hitting the back half around now.
So HexMage leaving behind the magic pots for now. I think he may have enough magic to just barely activate the cane, which is enough to kill that key rat. But there's still some more pots coming up. And hey, there's the best item in the game, so we're in business.
I didn't catch that. Was that Bloomerang?
No.
Or you said the best item in the no, powder.
There we go.
I mean, it's pretty good, but is it the swag meringue?
I mean, everyone's entitled to their own wrong opinion. What?
Well, HexMage having a good opinion, though, going to use the very last of his magic to kill that key rat. I was actually very surprised he was able to do that, because that was very close. That magic drop almost kind of taunting him there, but thankfully he had enough to work with. 300 rupees, 20, and 50. It is Cash Cave.
It is the first bank of Hyrule here in the back of Escape.
Better joke. I like it. And we will still have one more item here from the priest himself with Zelda in tow. We're going to finish up our escape right around 6 minutes and 25 seconds.
Did we see the burrito? I'm not sure we saw the burrito.
We did.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Well, 25% vanilla. Definitely not the whole milk strats that we wanted there. Sanctuary Heart would have definitely healed as an extra heart. Pretty standard stuff. We get a map check early on.
Oh, it was faster than I was even prepared for.
I did catch that the red crystal 6 is at Desert, and I believe it is Blue Pendant and Tower of Hera, but I may have missed that one. Alrighty, we're pulling on the tree and we're getting full magic refills. So, Cane of Burna, we'll have a couple of places that we can refill the magic if we end up stuck with that for too long. But the Bush Crab's going to give us hearts, and HexMage not having any of that. But we'll check the Lumberjack Cave.
Yep, so the Lumberjack Cave, one of the indicators that Aghanim might be required. Dracarys is back and has entered the Lost Woods as well. Looks like he actually skipped the Lumberjack Cave entirely.
Yeah, that seems to be the case unless he had like an extremely fast escape. I mean, by the looks of things, it does seem like he skipped it. Did you actually see what the Lumberjack Cave was? Because I was a little distracted by Dracarys section.
I did not. I think people are saying it might have been silver arrows.
Oh my goodness.
Or a sword.
Well, both of our runners have flute going into Kakariko at the beginning of the game. I mean, we're going to have the goose loose in less than 10 minutes, folks. Well, Dracarys doesn't want to leave anything to chance. We'll be picking up a stack of 10 bombs in Kakariko. We have quite a lot of money to work with, but we haven't found any kind of like tree poles or bush crab. Like the bush crab's going to be hearts, but no tree pole that's going to give us more rupees. So, kind of hoping to find more here in Kakariko, so we don't have to worry about Zora later. Wow, early Moon Pearl in the Chicken Shack. I gotta wonder, Dr. Bobtastic, would you end up... Ooh, wow, hookshot as well. A bottle vendor. Would you end up going to Zora area and checking Waterfall Cave now that the water walk is possible?
Well, if I got enough money, I might. But because I've got the flute and the hookshot, I'm kind of inching toward Death Mountain at the moment. In my head.
I see what you're saying. There's a lot of items over there. Makes a lot of sense.
We did just find the cape, though, so that that Aghanim play might sort of be taunting them.
Yep, it's a possibility, and they would be rewarded with silvers if they ended up doing it. So if that ends up being a requirement in order to access the Dark World efficiently, that may end up being what we see here. Well, HexMage is going to make sure I'm not a liar and does activate his flute south of 10 minutes. Greatly appreciate that. Looks like Thief's Hideout giving us a bottle. So either that's the first or we have two at this point. Sick Kid was checkable.
Yep, that is true. We definitely have a second bottle at the moment.
Yeah, so quite a lot of things that are usually a bit elusive early on in the seed. You know, Hookshot, we have Lamp. You know, these are minor things that end up being, you know, pretty big gateways for logic. So this might be a pretty fast seed depending on where we see in the south side check. I think that one thing to look out for is whether or not we have the ability to clear any dungeons quickly. Chat rightly pointing out that we do need to have a sword in order to access Aghanim, which is also a requirement for Skull Woods.
All right, so Dracarys will now be heading to the south area of Kakariko Village. This is not technically in the village, but it might as well be. And the library today has half magic, it looks like.
Some pretty fun safety items blocked behind the boots today. I gotta think if someone...
Ooh, Dracarys is going to want to dodge that duck, because there's the mirror.
You may have been reflecting on that a little bit too long, but he did dodge the duck, so mission saved. Okay, so mirror's really great to find, though. I mean, that's, what, 12 minutes in we've discovered this? I mean, holy moly. And HexMage, actually, I don't think he's checked the dig game, not dig game, the race game at this point. I'm wondering when he would come back to it. He does find Power Glove, though, in the dam.
Wow, so that's... It's a good chunk of stuff. There's a sword.
Well, we'll have to settle for a soggy sword today, but that does mean we have Death Mountain and Aghanim available, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's also Aghanim access, which is great.
Well, so as far as getting access to the Dark World goes, we do, of course, have Aghanim. That is one thing. We would want to see either Titan's Mitts or a hammer to access the west side portals. And then Titan's Mitts would get us on Dark Death Mountain, or potentially hammer and Power Glove could get us to the Palace of Darkness entrance. Looks like both of our runners have picked up their 8 bomb drop in their prize packs here. Both maxed out, leaving Hype Cave. Or not Hype Cave, Mini Moldorm Cave.
Okay, I am confirming from the VOD that the Lumberjack was just a +5 arrow upgrade.
That's good to know. I appreciate that you did that. So, folks, we're definitely not worrying about Aghanim for that specific purpose. However, boots may still be valuable to us. We did find out library is half magic.
All right, so we've got a shield in the Ice Rod Cave, which is not everybody's favorite thing.
Although I do think it makes that sprite look a little bit better.
Yeah. It's aesthetically pleasing, let's put it that way.
Well, it looks like HexMage has done some math in his mind with the rupee count that he has, and he's going to do all of the fake flipper checks now at this point. Our Lake Hylia island here is just going to be some blueberries. You know, I'm kind of surprised. I mean, we got a sword in the first 15 minutes. We have our shield, which is kind of nice. You know, relatively safe item set, and we're not exactly hurting for hearts at the point.
Yeah, I've certainly seen worse. So, with the current setup they have, the probability of an Aghanim seed is roughly 72%. This is based on some data I gathered a while back. That being said, there's plenty of places still to check, and the hammer could be in a lot of them.
Wow, we got a Dark World map check, and we're going to have Green Pendant and Misery Mire and the 5 Crystal at Thieves Town. Looks like Skull Woods is our last pendant.
Mm-hmm. And there's our Ether Medallion, which could be required to access Mire, and HexMage takes a bullet to the back as he tries to enter the Waterfall Cave, so that is going to end his Flipper campaign.
Yeah, somebody in Ganon's army needs to give him a promotion. He is the MVP of that entire force. Just goes to show, folks, if you want to be a marksman, you just got to work hard at it. Try it a lot.
Looks like HexMage is just going back for it. He's having nothing to do with this. I guess he figures, look, I've got the money for Zora. Zora's technically in logic. I should go up here and check this.
It's also common for folks to try to exhaust as much as they can before they make a trip up to the mountain. Now, with Flute, I don't think it's as valuable, but we're going to get a piece or a full heart container and bombs. I'm a little confused by the choice because we could just go to Catfish and spend about the same amount of time getting to this corner of Hyrule and use the mirror and kind of save time.
Yeah, the only thing is that would require, at this current moment, going to Aghanim, and nobody wants to do that.
Yep, so hedging our bets against that. HexMage finds a third bottle on the ledge for Zora. Meanwhile, Dracarys has found a piece of heart in Tower of Hera. I don't believe we've seen any other items, but I could definitely be wrong about that.
And just a big 20. That is a good old-fashioned minus 96% return on investment for HexMage.
Yeah, from the looks of things, in 1991, when A Link to the Past was out, we didn't have that Dodd-Frank reforms, and turns out he got burned real bad in the real estate market there.
A little bit.
Well, we have a Moldorm fight here. We are somewhat low equipped, but this is pretty close to your standard vanilla fight. We're going to have 6 slashes total, and really no way to speed it up.
Well, that's a way to speed it up.
Yeah, good point, good point.
All right, that's a small key, so...
it looks like he's living up to that Trolldorn name.
Mm-hmm.
Because we will see the basement. We have the lamp as well, so no reason not to grab it. I do think it is possible that I may have miscounted items, but he's going back in, so he's got it.
So, I imagine Dracarys might... so you could either mirror out of Hera and jump down, or you could save and quit and start from the uncle, or not the uncle, the old man, and either way, you're closer to the right-hand side. HexMage is just going to the right-hand side right now.
Yeah, he also forgot to pick up the mirror at the race game, and that decision actually forces him to go this way. He can't really go any further up the left side of the mountain.
Gross.
Kind of a strange decision. He may have made that for, reasons we don't know. I'm definitely going to ask him about it in the interview.
I mean, did he see it?
No, I know he definitely didn't even go over there.
Oh, okay.
Probably has something to do with picking up that early flute.
Well, there's the flippers.
Hopefully flips and flutes today not going to lead HexMage astray. Looks like Dracarys is going to make the same decisions here as well, so the whole fake flipper gambit might not have paid off at all.
Wow, this cave. Arrow.
This cave. This
Straight
cave
up.
with 4 red big 20s and a single arrow.
Yeah, so we've got the big 20, the big 20 battalion in the back, and the single arrow centerpiece just kind of sitting there like, "Hey, what's up?"
It's honestly the capstone, the headpiece of that entire cave.
That was basically the cherry on top of the crap sandwich.
You would put a cherry on a crap sandwich?
I mean, you gotta use some presentation somehow.
Fair enough, fair enough. We're gonna get the slowest cave in the game. Also a great place to practice pumping if you're looking for small movement tech if you don't have these boots. We're gonna take a while to get down there, but there is one item we'll get, so HexMage will have that shortly.
And that only works going up, though, right?
Going... Well,
up or left.
Master Sword.
You don't do a whole lot of left, right?
True, true. As far as that goes, by the way, Link's movement animation, he starts on either 2 or 1 pixel per frame and alternates between the 2. Moving left and up, it's 2 pixels that you start off on. Down and right is 1, and that just applies to cardinal directions. But you can mash D-pad buttons and kind of, if you're lucky, get some extra frame boosts. Oh, this is a very productive time spend here. That sword's definitely going to help us out later on throughout the seed.
Alright, so HexMage is currently doing Agina's Cave, which is sort of a out-of-the-way location.
Yeah, very unpopular for most people, simply because it's usually low percentage likelihood of having progression, but at this point, we're just trying to avoid Aghanim. And HexMage doesn't know where that mirror is, and I don't think he's going to see it for a while.
And I think he's just going straight to Aga.
This could be pretty rough for him. Trying to think of when the next time would be that he'd head south side of Kakariko. Maybe when he gets boots?
I mean, maybe to get that half magic? I mean, did he even go for library?
No, I don't even think he knows what's there. So right. That may actually be influencing why he chose not to do it. You know, not having boots at the time, realizing, kind of like how a lot of people don't check Lumberjack Cave until they have boots. May have just been thinking, you know, I can't get it anyway.
But yeah, I know some people who will try to check the race game once they get the mirror in the Dark World, but that's not going to work today.
Looks like HexMage is going to serve up Din in the Gold Guard room, one of my favorite strats. You can get both of them. All you got to do is just wait for their feet in their sprite to touch, and then you can do a sword spin to get both of them.
Now, I'm actually behind HexMage on the Aga play right now, given what he knows.
I'd agree with that.
That being said, I know a lot of people who would exhaust every possible option, which includes Eastern Palace. But now, if I was Dracarys, I would definitely skip Eastern, and I'll tell you why. Because then, when I get to the Dark World, I could combine it with Pod. Because I have the mirror. But HexMage doesn't have the mirror, so it's very strange.
Yeah, it's a really hefty routing advantage, and I think this is only accentuated for however long we don't have those boots, because I can't see a reason HexMage would be over there without them. So yeah, I'm definitely in the same boat as you regarding Aghanim. We have full Dark World access with the hookshot and flippers. Well, here's the In-Logic Waterfall Cave, and this is just going to be a heart container and some rupees, I believe.
I think it was bombs.
Bombs. Good memory. HexMage is pretty low on health here in Aghanim's Tower, though. A couple of simple slip-ups could potentially do him in. He's down to half a heart now. He will have an opportunity to heal a little bit in this Circle of Pots room, provided nothing goes wrong.
Got one drop from the guard. That helps.
That worked out altogether pretty well. He's going to get that one there, and the other one in the middle here should be it, but he's just going to go on with 2.5. Not too threatened by what's left here. Meanwhile, Dracarys is affected with a bad investment. His real estate gambit didn't work out either. Well, Dr. Bobtastic, how many blue balls do you think our runners will have today, provided Dracarys does have to still do Aghanim?
Gonna go with about 4.
Pretty close to standard for what most people will see in the randomness that is provided in the vanilla game. However, it can be anywhere from 1 to 15, folks, so get your guesses in. Fun little thing we very rarely get to play, but I am going to guess today it's going to be 6. In this fight, the first attack in each cycle of 5 attacks for Aghanim will always be a reflectable shot. 2, 3, and 4 in that cycle are what would normally be RNG 50-50 chance of regular shot or blue balls. That's our first one. And the 5th attack's always a lightning attack.
All right, so the first cycle done with 2 unfortunate blue projectiles. And it looks like Dracarys is heading for Eastern.
Yeah, Eastern area does have at least 3 chests for us in Sahasratha's hut, and then we also have whatever we can find in Eastern Palace itself. Now, of course, we were talking about this before. Going there without the bow is definitely a sour proposition for any runner. I think we're at 4 blue balls now, so Dr. Bobtastic, if everything goes well.
Yeah. Well, I think we're on... Yeah, you're right. It had to have been 4. Oh, that's 5. And 6.
Everything's coming up Millhouse. This is actually really bad luck for any runner. Though.
And
That's
7. Gross.
This is the part where if you're playing a vanilla speed run, you're contemplating your run having already been dead.
Yeah, it's like this. When do we throw in the reset button? Is it right now? I think it's right now.
Fan favorite, 2nd place, the Torture Room in Misery Mire. But with that, HexMage is the first one into the Dark World, about 28 minutes in.
Alright, so just a vanilla piece of heart on the pyramid, as HexMage will be heading over to basically the same location as Dracarys, except in the... Never mind, he's going to the catfish area. Or he could just be crossing the river.
Yeah, this hook shot I would kind of suggest that. I think you're right about that.
I think he'd probably go... I think he'd probably hit up catfish while he's here, just because this is like the only time it's ever convenient.
And of course, if he ends up having trouble finding, say, that hammer, he's probably going to head in this direction again, but not all the way up northeast here. So, taking care of the one off, so he really doesn't seem to want to miss that mirror. Unfortunately for HexMage, we know better. I don't know, though. I've seen some pretty crazy things shift these races in this tournament, and even more difficult, progression blocks somehow surmounted. Mirror's a tough one, though.
Oh, but there's the bow on the catfish. What?
Holy moly. So, of all the low percent chances and locations, I mean, when is Dracarys ever going to check that?
I don't know. If he does Aghanim, he might head straight there, but it depends on whether he finds a hammer or a glove.
Also, HexMage, definitely going to go to the left side or the west side of Dark World at this point, still having that hookshot out. Kind of low on health, has to be careful, but there's a lot of places that he's going to get early access to that Dracarys here is kind of going to just exhaust everything else first.
There is some wonderful universe in which he could check Graveyard Ledge here, but not today. Once again, no mirror. We can, however, check what's on the Bumper Cave and acquire it if we so desire.
Yeah, it just remains to be seen where this hammer is. If we have a hammer early, we might not be checking a lot of these areas twice, but at this point, HexMage does have to come back through this way every time he wants to go back to the Dark World until he gets one of those items. We find just a vanilla piece of heart at the Bumper Cave. Oh no! HexMage shot at the village gates.
Ouch. So to return to the Dark World, he's going to have to go back through the Aghanim portal. Now Dracarys is going to Aga as well, which means that Aga play, once again, turned out to be very, very real.
So this will give HexMage a bit of a head start here in the Dark World, and Dracarys could end up making that catfish play his first time around, which would be very beneficial to him. But if he doesn't, you know, it's pretty much up to HexMage to pick up that mirror first. As of right now, though, not a whole lot to speak of when it comes to dungeon progression. We have Tower of Hera, and that's it.
Yep, basically. Now the thing is, if it turns out that the mirror actually isn't blocking anything important, well, it will be. It does block Swamp Palace. But, you know, if it turns out that mirror is the go mode item for HexMage, that actually may be an advantage, because he won't have to check all those extra mirror locations.
Yeah, that red herring effect when you have all these item locations that are blocked by the mirror. And quite a few, you know, big 20s in the pool. We did find 4 of them in the East Death Mountain, but, you know, if we end up... Oh,
there's that hammer. It's in the Sea House in Village of Outcasts.
Holy moly. So that definitely makes the rest of Dark World easier. I gotta think that if Dracarys goes the long way around to get here and doesn't check catfish, that becomes a much less likely play. Well, with that hammer, though, HexMage is not going to tempt fate, going to head right into Thieves Town as it is full clearable.
Yep, and with the fact that it is a 5/6 crystal as well as just a plain old crystal, there's the Ice Rod in Thieves Town, which... I mean, whenever I see the Ice Rod, especially knowing that Turtle Rock is required, like, a giant weight is lifted from my mind.
Yeah, it's one of the least gated progression items in the game. The only thing that it can't be behind, outside of Ganon's Tower, of course, because Trinex, when Turtle Rock is required, is Trinex. That's the only thing that... It could even be Laser Bridge for all intents and purposes. So finding it, like you mentioned, very big relief for our runners. And I got to think that Dracarys will be heading through there pretty quickly. Thieves Town accessible and full clearable pretty quick. Once we have that hook shot, we know where the bow is. We're going to need that Fire Rod, Cane of Samaria, and potentially the mirror before Swamp Palace. We'll need it. We'll definitely need it at some point for that. But that could be our last dungeon we do. And I guess we're also looking for Titansmiths.
Yep. Titansmiths indeed. Now, so one of the things is, I have this thing where I'm very averse to going into swamp for any reason. But lack of Titansmiths is one of my exceptions. Like, Titansmiths can be in swamp a reasonable amount of the time.
Yeah, the hammer and flippers really being the biggest things. Although the mirror at this point, definitely going to have that just to get in. So something that may end up being a separation between our runners, let's just say Titan's Mitts was in Swamp today, HexMage would take a while to find it. You know, so we did see a potential for some diversions here. Dracarys will be heading back into the, into the Dark World for the first time, excuse me, and may or may not choose to go right to Palace of Darkness. HexMage did skip it. We get the best boomerang in the game, though, for HexMage.
All right. Dracarys is unhappy with Aghanim's pattern today.
Yeah, it's an unlucky 7 blue balls. It's about half as bad as it could be. If I recall correctly, Pyramid here was junk, so not a whole lot of things for Dracarys here to check that won't take him all the way around the world. Critical moment for him.
Yeah, so the fact that he's already checked Eastern may lead him, back up to the north. We'll see if he checks Catfish. Catfish is going to be one of those spots that he's going to need to check. Turns out we're going to be okay on that front.
Big for Dracarys. HexMage potentially sweating a bit if he knew what we knew. At this point, that mirror is going to be a big separation between them.
Dracarys will at least be able to check the Graveyard Ledge when he eventually heads west from here. Which at this point, I'm pretty sure is a required maneuver. Unless the mitts are in pod.
Yeah, that is a possibility, but with the early access to the hook shot, I don't think our runner is going to leave anything to chance on that one.
So Dracarys picks up the bow. He now has a decision to make. Does he go west toward Village of Outcasts, or does he go into pod?
Now, as far as item density goes, I mean, while we can clear Palace of Darkness, which is kind of remarkable at this point in our progression, there is so much more in the West Dark World.
Right, and Dracarys can't actually do it yet. He's got to get that hammer. And it looks like he is going to head to the West Dark World's area. HexMage finishing off blind, picking up his first crystal.
Yeah, you raise a great point, though, with that hammer being in in Village of Outcasts. We get to avoid a double dip of Palace of Darkness. If we just had those boots, we could check King's Tomb, unfortunately, but we will get the Graveyard Ledge.
Chest game with just +5 bomb upgrade.
Let's see what's behind door number 1.
It's Quake.
Wow, a brand new medallion. So we don't know yet whether or not that's going to be significant. I'm hoping that it's actually Ether because, I'm a fan of the bird toss, but A Link to the Past memes aside, that's definitely a good find. It's peace of mind.
Now, of course, there's that possibility that, bird toss may not even be necessary.
I'm always hoping out for it. It's always a big day.
On account of Mire being a pendant dungeon.
It is a green pendant, though. I'm still hoping.
Yep, there is that. So Dracarys is, of course, going to go ahead and check the bumper cave. We'll see if he dips into Skull Woods or if he decides to head down directly into Village.
Was that a
single dig red rupee at the digging game?
That's like the most efficient that can be. Holy moly. And 20 rupees. Unfortunately, it wasn't 300. Get all your money back, but 20 will work. He's just going to skip past it, though. We don't really need that much cash here.
Now, HexMage's going to go to Stumpsman over here.
Honestly,
he's got the other boomerang.
Aw, boo. We hate that one. I say we royally. I mean, I don't know if you hate red meringue.
Well, I saw a trick with it the other day that made me smile.
I suppose that would be enough to make it have redeeming value.
I believe it's like another form of the spooky glitch, basically.
Oh, yes, with the grave tomb.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes the tomb fly off into, who knows where.
It's a truly glorious strat. Saves no time, looks incredible. I think Andy actually pulled it off in his match the other day.
And that's the last bottle from the Hype Cave dude. And just a bunch of money and convenience in the rest of Hype Cave, so not really hype. I'd say, 1 out of 10.
Folks in chat asking about what the asterisks are on the tracker for the dungeons. Those are requirements for an item location. So the crystals will give us the Pyramid Fairy, and the pendant will give us the item Sahasrahla has in exchange for the green pendant.
Dracarys making excellent use of that ether.
Yeah, that was like a Pokemon standard move, right?
Yep, pretty much. He's like, Pikachu!
I mean, what do you think
that was the worst thing I've ever done in my life? Well, I'm sorry.
That sounds like a Thunder Shock, but I'm not certain. I can't wait for that Switch game to come out. But in the meantime, we can definitely throw this sprite into Link to the Past, which is an amazing thing. Shoutouts to everybody in the community who has devoted their time and effort to make that a possibility. Well, we had all the cash we needed to pay off our favorite extortionist friend here in the Dark World, or Sacred Land, depending on which part of the lore you believe. Kiki the Extortionist Monkey is giving us access to Palace of Darkness. HexMage has what he needs to clear it, but he doesn't have a mirror, so this is going to take a while.
Yep. The navigation of Pod is, in fact, a nightmare without the mirror.
And, of course, if he was low on bombs, that would also be a disadvantage. But with 12, he's not going to have to worry about walking through that middle room 6 times to get bomb drops. You can get 2 here and you can get 2 as well at the Hammer Yump Bridge, but we're in pretty good shape here.
All right, so Dracarys is going to pick up that ice rod here in Thieves Town while we check out the remaining contents of Pod on the left side of the screen.
I think somebody wants to hurt your feelings in chat. Somebody just clipped you in the most unflattering way. You see that worst Pikachu impression ever? I mean, are you just gonna sit here and stand for that?
Yeah. I will own up to that.
Fair enough. I will not try to one-up it. I probably wouldn't be able to.
I think I could do a little better, but I need to back away from the microphone, and I don't want to do it.
I was convinced that whoever did the voice actor for Pikachu originally, which, I mean, I shudder to think about. Can you imagine being that voice actor?
Nope.
And nevertheless, though, we're running out of places to find things. HexMage is going to go to the right side from the basement, which will be the normally bow-locked location, while Dracarys heads to the back of Thieves Town. There's going to be a few items we could potentially get here, and of course the blind fight. We talked before about 5-6 crystals, Thieves Town being a nice one to kind of knock out really early on, but Desert Palace, we're not going to have access to that until we have either Titan's Mitts or a book.
Dracarys having some excellent issues in the hellway. We had sort of simultaneous hellways.
99 problems, and Patrick Star is all of them.
Correct.
Meanwhile, coming up pretty empty here for HexMage, but we do have that hammer, so we'll be able to kind of do some wonky routing to get back around to the back half. Well, it took some time, but those hard hat beetles are down. I was going to use a bomb to hit that switch. Good thing they didn't walk further away. He could have actually fallen outside of the radius that bomb's active for.
All right. So, HexMage now going to head into the back of Pod, where there's quite a bit more stuff we can find. We know that there can be only a maximum of 2 non-small key items in the first part.
Wow, this many Helmasaur, best linebacker in the Hyrule Football League.
Yep. That's why I like to have my arrows ready for that, because an arrow will just take care of it. Doesn't matter what direction.
Good point. Only takes one and pretty much always works.
There's another small key, so it looks like there is something that's not a small key in the Harmless Hellway down below.
It's very interesting, though. Both of our runners have used their powder in the last 30 seconds or so, so both of them, really remembering that they got it very early. I have forgotten already by this point.
I never forget about the powder. There are the Titan's mitts in Pod.
I want to say like 15 people are about to say call it in chat.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And to be fair, this is the first place I'd be looking for them. Even if I did have the mirror.
And it's a very likely place to find them, by the numbers. So that does expand our routing choices considerably. There's a lot of places where we didn't have access to before through portals, and at this point we now have easy Kakariko access to the Dark World.
And we've got Shovel right here in Pod City.
I mean, that's totally not going to be a fetch quest, right?
No, of course not.
Come on, dirty silver arrows.
That would be pretty nice. Unfortunately, HexMage still having to go the long way through Pod. Once Dracarys gets here, this will be a much quicker clear.
Well, he will make it all the way to the back, can get full health here, and could potentially save a menu, but gonna opt to skip that altogether. Or maybe not. I am a liar. This is always nice, though. It's really good to have sword beams going into the basement of Palace of Darkness. When you have Master Sword or higher, normally you have to hit a crystal switch in the first dark room down there, and if you just use sword beams, you can save yourself from having to menu twice. Red Jam and Chad asking about Blind being a quote-unquote scripted fight. It sort of is, it sort of isn't. We say scripted because if you do it the same way every time, it will behave exactly the same way every time. But every fourth fireball that each head shoots will track Link's position, and the overall pattern that Blind takes will stay the same as long as you hit him at the same times. If you take too long, he'll start changing up the pattern. Well, we almost had a perfect Terrapin room there for HexMage. Going to go to the Helmasaur King fight, our first iteration of that in this race. Kind of looking a little vanilla with our equip for this. We do have an extra heart or two, but Master Sword, Hammer, this is pretty comfortable territory if you play NMG.
Yeah. I'm basically garbage at hammer strats, but I can swing a Master Sword 6 times.
Yeah, that's definitely a good way to start that strategy. I myself don't really do the hammer strats at all, but it is the fastest way. Ooh, and a fireball despawn. Really nicely done by HexMage there.
And if necessary, I can also employ arrow strats.
Well, the sword slashes will be good enough for him today, and Dracarys finding one of his first mirror lock locations, K45, just bombs. I'm wondering if you may have been right about that earlier. Oh, chat pointing out the good thing about finding the shovel is that HexMage is likely to walk through that part of the light world and may actually end up seeing that mirror.
Yeah, that may lead him toward the race game, giving us some sort of hope that we get closer together.
And now that he has the Titansmith's advantage, it would be a really great time for him to be finding it, because until he does, I mean, while this is pretty close together as far as dungeon completion goes, he is very behind in what he can check.
Now, unfortunately, Dracarys is going to go into Swamp looking for the Titansmiths, and HexMage is going to get literally stuck by a dead rock.
Shout outs to Waffle. That's like the West Side Waffle House. That's like just getting Waffle stopped.
Okay, somebody explain to me where that comes from.
There's a guy by the name of Waffle42, I believe. I'm not sure if I got the numbers right in his name, but he was going through the part HexMage is doing right now, and he got stuck real bad by dead rocks. And they renamed that section, or at least colloquially it's known as the Waffle House, because he just got, like, absolutely butchered. It was, like, 15 hits in a row. We don't have a Helpasaur King link. Let me see if I can find it. I mean, we do have one, but Helpasaur King doesn't seem to be working right now.
And so when I hear someone talk about the Waffle House drive-thru, that's somebody taking the speed glitch all the way through that silly thing?
Exactly, and you go through the northern side of the rocks, so like it's amazing to see. It's a really nice looking movement tech. Also very difficult.
All right, so we'll see if Swamp manages to have something today.
Oh, Zero Rush with the clip in chat. That's the one we're talking about. All right, well, HexMage does get Tower of Hera done here, but has not opted to check for that mirror yet. Not a big deal, but there's a little less sufficient, opportunities for him here on the mountain. Thankfully, he's already cleared a lot of the east side, so it's not going to be as big of a deal.
And the other great thing about HexMage is he can go ahead and clear out some of the Dark World because of that Titansmith. Alright, so that is red mail in Swamp, so certainly not the worst thing. Not required, but not the worst thing.
I feel like that palette shift with the red mail for Pikachu really makes him look like a Raichu.
Yeah, maybe. I was thinking that the blue mail and red mail kind of make him look like Plusle and Minun.
Oh, okay, better. I like that. We get a nice bomb jump for HexMage there. As far as lining that up goes, there's two different ways. You can be within 2 pixels if you don't have boots from the ledge and do the bomb to get across. But if you have boots, you can dash bonk, and that expands that range to 6 pixels. All right. Well,
all right. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go first. I jumped right on your feet.
Oh, we got that. I believe that's at least 4 items here that we found in Swamp. At least 5 now.
Oh my goodness! If Argus has it, this could be the patented forget about left side completely.
Yeah, so
oh no,
the first chest was a big key. Oh, did HexMage get middle hold?
He got middle hold after like doing a sword spin. He got launched into space and then fell back down and into the worst place possible.
Gross.
So I didn't mean to interrupt you there. That was just
Yeah, so we got the big key in the first chest, and then everything else from that point on has been items. So if Argus has the final item, there will be no reason for Dracarys to check anything else. And basically the part of Swamp that makes it annoying will be completely gone.
I do like what he's trying to do with this boss fight. He's trying to grab 2 at a time by holding his sword charged out and then doing the hook shot, but he's gotten so close to the end here and having a couple mishaps, he's just going to finish out regular. But he did save a couple extra hook shot cycles with that.
And today I learned Ice Rod hurts Argus.
Absolutely. Ice type works against water pretty well in the Pokemon series. Seems legit enough to me. Ice Rod's a surprisingly good weapon for a lot of situations. It's just if you have the Fire Rod, which, you know, most people would in many situations, you know, it's going to be a better projectile anyway.
Now, I kind of looked away for half a second. I think that was the compass.
Same. But he's diving back in, so it must have been. Well, so there is the big chest still possible, so that may still prevent him from having to go all the way to the left.
I think he actually already opened the big chest. I believe it contained a big heart.
In that case, yeah, we're definitely going left side. But I gotta ask you, if there's 2 chests back there, and it doesn't really matter which one you go to, which one would you pick?
I mean...
Or I suppose pick first.
I mean, I think you go left just because it's faster to get to. You don't have to cross the water room, you just go up. And then you can just hook shot across. You could really go with the... You could really do the sick gamble and leave the pegs open and just go left side and hope it's not on the right.
One of those like 200 IQ plays that either looks amazing or you're like, okay, I probably lost. But this is an extra painful thing to have to do, not having boots. This has been a pretty slow walking seed.
Yeah, I personally feel like I would probably just peace out from left side and leave it alone. And then be real sad when I find out, like, Kana Samaria is over here. But...
Well, it's really rough for that reason. Like, we don't want to have to drain the swamp twice, so, you know, Dracarys will take the time to do it twice, or to go back through this twice, but probably will feel bad no matter what he finds. Also, worth pointing out, HexMage had to walk all the way out of Hera and will get dead-rocked to death on his way to the Turtle Rock portal, which is unfortunate.
Wait. Where did HexMage get Kane?
Oh. Where... Huh.
Just a big 20 on the left side. Nobody surprised by that one.
I really don't know where that cane was.
Helmasaur. Okay. That makes sense.
Wow, so Palace of Darkness, pretty big results for that. I mean, that's Titan's Mitts and Kane. That's pretty good Palace of Darkness, in my opinion.
Pretty solid. Now, HexMage still does not have the mirror, which is just silly to me.
Hype index looking pretty low overall. Well, I gotta admire HexMage's persistence here, coming all the way back up for that Turtle Rock portal. We'll get this information.
Bombos. Really?
Well, there's definitely a chance that we could find it pretty quickly. I mean, I see it a lot in Dark Death Mountain. You see that one required medallion. I feel like I see it in Super Bunny Cave every time, though. But I'm probably wrong. Statistically, I'm very unlikely to be right here. Oh, wow.
Yep.
That's an insult.
More like super upgrade cave. Okay, I'm done.
If you like capacity, well, we've got it for you here. And that was the big bomb bag upgrade as well, the 10 bombs. So he's probably not going to be worrying about how many bombs he has for the rest of the race. At 18 and 20 anti-respectively, they're doing pretty well.
Silver arrows in the bonkable chest in the hookshot cave.
Well, that alone definitely makes this worth taking the time to check. That will save some time all around. Now, HexMage, even if he wanted to, can't go to the floating island, and I'm not sure if he even knows what's there. He did just take the portal, yeah, so he wouldn't be able to access that without this mirror, though.
Do you know where we are going? Spike Cave.
And we're definitely not going to do any damage to these Lionels. Master Sword actually doesn't even do anything to them.
Yeah, I think Spin does something.
Yes, it would. It's the same as Tempered. But at that point, you would normally, I guess, just try to mirror out of the damage or hookshot, but he can't even mirror away from the damage. Well, this is good news for Dracarys. Going to pick up that Titan's Mitts and the Cane of Samaria and going to do so much faster than HexMage was able to. And HexMage very close to running out of health there.
Just a big 20 in Spike Cave as well. So far, both of the medallions we found are mirror locked.
And of course, neither of them, the ones we need as far as we know.
Alright, so HexMage is now going to go digging, which may lead him over to the race game.
Yeah, moment of truth.
May finally get him that mirror.
Bless RNG if you are hoping and praying like I am.
Five
No, he did
upgrade.
He did that dig better than most NMG runners. This is looking good. How mad? Like, do you think we're going to get any kind of reaction out of HexMage here?
Oh, maybe.
Shot through the heart. Well, I mean, an hour in, you've got a couple crystals done, or a few crystals done. I don't know if I really feel that behind here.
You're to blame. You found the mirror on the race game.
Very nicely done. I am not as alliterative, so I won't be able to keep up with that one, but absolutely appreciate the linguistics there. All right, well, we have that mirror. Swamp House is now in play for HexMage. Has that. Excuse me. Has that and potentially Ice Palace. As soon as he gets Bombos or Fire Up.
Alright, Dracarys picking up the Titan's Mitts. That will open up the rest of the world, basically. And HexMage looking to do that Swamp Palace place, so doesn't look like Dracarys will really lose much time from having done all a swamp.
So what is that, like a 40 to 45 minute difference in mirror collection?
Something like that.
And amazingly, we are relatively tied as far as crystal progression goes.
So basically, the only advantage that Dracarys got from having that mirror is those 2 medallions, which may or may not even be required. Basically, the only hope for Dracarys to have some sort of advantage from that is if the mirror, or if those medallions are in fact required to get into Mire, and there's something in Mire.
And at this point, it's kind of hard to imagine what it would be that would be required. I mean, Fire Rod is still a possibility. That seems to be the one major thing we're missing at this point, isn't it?
Yep, missing that Fire Rod, missing Bombos. We're going to need that as well. Could be missing boots for desert. And I believe that's going to do it.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I know the logic wouldn't ask you to do it, but you might be able to steal a key from the front half of desert if you knew you could complete, you know, everything else.
Mostly you end up stealing the key from the back half of desert is what you end up doing. If you're going to steal a key in desert.
Oh yeah, I got the completely backwards. Thanks for the correction.
But yeah, the idea is the main thing you need to make sure you have access to is the big key in desert. So if the big key is available without the boots, we're fine. Otherwise, we're going to have to go out of our way.
Well, looking at Dracarys here, much comfier fight than HexMage had. HexMage was basically looking at, I think, green mail when he did it. But pretty similar weaponry. We'll have this down pretty quickly here. And chat's pointing out that we haven't seen the Smith chain at all.
There we go, Dracarys picking up that cane as well. And we'll see where Dracarys decides to go next.
Interestingly enough, HexMage decided to go full left in Swamp Palace, so he will save time over Dracarys on this dungeon.
Dracarys fluting away from Eastern Palace, which he's basically cleared out, and will be heading over to the Mire section.
Didn't see any attempt to set up that spooky action glitch for the Fire Rod using the altitude variable for the bird, so may end up trying to do a Samaria strat in the basement, or might just opt to forget about it altogether.
Alright, so it turns out it is Ether to get into Mire, which is kind of a saving grace for HexMage, because he at least knows where Ether is. If it was Quake, that was going to be a problem, because Graveyard Ledge, get out, right? There's a Fire Rod!
Ooh. Well then, we are getting very close to go mode. We need some confirmations here in Desert.
And I mean, clearly since the Fire Rod is available, Bombos is in Ice Palace. That's just the way it works.
Certainly the logical conclusion to draw. But we're going to find out in a moment if that's our confirmation to go mode. We need to figure out if these boots are required.
Oh no! Bombos is on the door! Desert!
Alright, this has to be boots. If this is boots, that'd be the best thing ever.
I don't think it can be. I think it has to be one of the keys. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. But he's not going to check that big key because he does not need to. At 1 hour and just under 9 minutes, Dracarys is the first to enter go mode.
I mean, he needs the boots.
Well, I mean, obviously, we totally need that Bombos medallion because we have to do Turo Rocks. You're right. We are boots locked. Thank you for the correction. We are not in go mode. Forget everything I said. This commentator is the inferior half of the two.
Nah.
False alarm, folks. So I'm trying to think what could be boots at this point. There's a lot of locations that could be it, couldn't it?
Yep. Those locations do include the other item here in Desert, but we haven't found it yet. Could be in Mire, which of course, since we have the hook shot, the boots are in Mire. That's another thing that's always true, even when it's not.
Well, we've burned through our entire magic meter. Dracarys is going to opt to do some sword spins to finish off these Lamolus. This would ordinarily be a pretty quick fight, but having a little bit of difficulty due to the patterns. Wouldn't that be something, Dr. Bobtastic, if we had to go Misery Mire to get that pendant, and that pendant happened to lead somewhere?
Who knows? Could have some vanilla boot situation going.
Wait a second. Am I wrong, but is it possible for it to be a pedestal?
I don't see why not.
Oh my god. Well, we don't have a book to check it, so it's kind of a moot point, but we could end up exploring a lot of this world before we find it. We'll stay tuned, folks. You may end up finding this in a weird place.
All right, so Dracarys is going to go ahead and potion up.
Yeah, as good a time as any. He's going to be heading to, I think, Ice Palace or maybe Misery Mire.
Yeah, Ice Palace seems like the play here. So basically, Dracarys using the logic, okay, so we know where Bombos is, but since I have the Fire Rod, it also has to be in Ice Palace. And by that I mean the boots have to be in Ice Palace now. It's not true. I'm exaggerating.
Certainly would be a convenient place, though. Ice physics not very fun without those boots. Well, HexMage is done with the Argus fight. He's going to head to Misery Mire area. Probably going to check the shed to get his Fire Rod, which is great. But what does he do after that? Not sure.
Yeah, Dracarys did not check Checkerboard Cave. What we're checking about that. Sorry, what did you ask?
Oh, I'm just kind of contemplating if HexMage will make the same decision to go into Ice Palace. Definitely going to check Desert, I would think, at this point, though.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Ooh, interesting question in chat. Did both of our runners open up the Turtle Rock portal?
Dracarys has not been to Dark Death Mountain yet.
Interesting. So doesn't know necessarily that Bombos is required.
That is true. Maybe he's just assuming he's in go mode, and he's not.
May have been as excited as I was for the wrong reasons. Wow, Dracarys made that conveyor belt room look really easy bootsless.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this, as far behind as HexMage seemed earlier on from not having the mirror, this has become a race again. Like this is actually extremely close now.
And another interesting thing here with diversions, I think we're absolutely right that Dracarys thought he was in go mode. He mirrored out of this Desert Palace as soon as he got that big key. HexMage is going to go get the big key chest to get him the small key and these two potential items over here. Or I think it's only 2 total in Desert, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so the 1 potential item.
Yeah, 1 item left.
And of course, it could be on Lamolus, but oh wait, was it on Lamolus?
I don't remember. Must have been.
Yeah, it was.
So yeah, Dracarys knew he didn't have to go back into Desert at least.
So Dracarys does save some time here in Desert. And Ice Palace is so quick when he thinks he's in go mode. He is going to dive right down to Cold Stare. Now this could end up biting him in the backside though, if the boots ends up being an issue. Like let's just say it is an Ice Palace, and I think HexMage realizes because of Turtle Rock that he's not in go mode at this point.
I think best thing for Dracarys is boots actually on Cold Stare.
Yeah, that would be pretty solid. Now, if you hadn't seen what the requirement was for Turtle Rock, would you end up going back to pick up that Bombos?
I don't know. If I got the boots, I'm not sure.
That blue potion, though, going to give him a triple burn down here with Cold Stare, just a piece of heart.
Yep. So we found one item here in Ice Palace, but there's still 2 left. Alright, so HexMage going to go ahead and deal with Land Molas with the silver arrows, gets 2 shots, and the third worm sort of jukes out of the way.
Uh-oh, folks. Dracarys here, heading up Death Mountain. He hasn't been to Dark Death Mountain, so he'll probably check a bunch of these locations first, but gonna have some bad news pretty quick.
Yeah, he's going to check all these spots, but he's going to find out that his assumption of go mode is incorrect. HexMage also not checking Checkerboard Cave. Interesting. Instead, he's going to go for the Pyramid Fairy.
Yeah, Desert was our final crystal for that, so this is technically in the logic, and boots could definitely be there.
Yeah, it's a weird scenario where something is in desert locked behind the boots, but the dungeon itself is not locked behind the boots.
Yeah, I mean, I've even seen mirror on that torch. There's just a lot of weird things that can be there. Well, good news for Dracarys, you will find out immediately that this is Bombos, instead of doing everything else first by entering from the south portal.
I mean, he's assuming he's going to get to open it, and he's like, wait a minute. You kidding me right now?
Yep, there's the quick slashes of discontent. Meanwhile, HexMage, because of the Agnum kill, can do the bridge warp here. Much faster way to get the Pyramid Fairy taken care of.
At least Dracarys is going to get the silver arrows out of this. We've got just the actual reverse of the other fairy cave.
Yeah, Fat Fairy giving us some explosive love. Before it was love and bombs. So, yeah, you're exactly right, though. Those were the same contents in reverse. How do you remember that so easily?
Because I am a huge nerd.
The doctor thing, right?
Something to that effect. Alright, so HexMage is also going to go into Ice Palace, but I imagine this will be a much more thorough clear than the one we saw Dracarys do.
I gotta wonder, I mean, Dracarys here, I mean, it's not that bad to go back into Ice Palace, particularly if you do a go mode, you know, fully the first time, you just go right to Cold Stare, but I gotta wonder where his first selection would be. There's Misery Mire, there's, you know, Eastern Palace. I think Armos might have had an item.
Well, I think the first place he's going will probably be Spike Cave. But beyond that, who knows?
And I want to say that was, what, a big 20?
Yeah, it was a big 20. I think maybe Mire is where I would go.
Yeah, not very fun to go through there for just 2 items, but it's not that uncommon that you find, you know, something big there. And not only that, but if we end up having to kill Vitreous for that last item, that will give us the green pendant at Sahazwell.
Right, and also you can knock out Checkerboard Cave while you're there, so that to me feels like the most item-dense location that's remaining. Yeah, Smith Chain. That's another one. Forgot about that. That's also basically equally item dense.
Oh, nice recovery from HexMage there to get the bomb that he accidentally threw against the wall over to destroy the gap. Still had to throw another one to get the switch down, but looked pretty cool.
Yeah, and that actually works out pretty well. I imagine HexMage probably may not even do the bomb jump if we're going to be, clearing the place looking for boots.
Certainly a possibility, though some people do it just by muscle memory, whether or not they're trying to route it that way. I'm definitely guilty of that myself.
The other day, I figured out the trick to that conveyor belt room. It made me happy.
Are you talking about the damage boost?
Yeah. Because that, up until now, was my least favorite room in the game, period.
Well, folks, if you want to get through that room very efficiently, you definitely want to have boots. These runners not able to do that today, but you can take some damage from spikes on the right side of the room, and dashing after you're in invincibility frames will allow you to dash alongside spikes without taking damage. That way you can go through the entire thing. Yeah, very handy tech. Something that I got to incorporate into my MMG runs.
Disappointed no one using the bomb strats here in the Pengator room. I realize you need the boots to make it work, but make it work well, but still.
They're just not feeling bombastic today.
Yeah.
But I mean, every day you should be feeling bombastic, right?
Yeah, basically. So HexMage, using the small key that we got in the first chest, we're going to go to the right-hand side here of Ice Palace.
Yeah, brand new territory. We haven't seen this yet. And Skullwood, same deal. Looks like Dracarys is going all the way back to Mothiel and not going to bother, trying to kill things without using magic. Really only has one shot to spare, two if he picks up the magic decanter in the next room.
Now there's small key on the right-hand side, so we found big key, small key. Dracarys on the moth fight using hammer strats, very interesting. There's the second item for Ice Palace. It's a 50 rupee chest contents.
Wow, I'm really impressed that Dracarys was able to finish up that that kill. That was a very difficult Mothula fight.
Alright, picks up the red pendant and the big key. A burrito for HexMage. Setting up a bomb jump in a method I haven't seen.
There are so many bomb jumps in Ice Palace. I think the last that I checked, there are over 8 of them that you can potentially do to save some time, or at least route yourself in strange ways. So if you have an interest in learning those, you could potentially have a lot less problems without a hook shot.
All right, so we're taking care of Ice-T. It's the boots!
Boomski. I believe that is our go mode. I mean, HexMage does know where that Bombos is, and he's going to be able to grab it, so we have everything we need to access everything. Or did I jump the gun again? We wait until he gets the Bombos, right?
I mean, technical go mode comes when he gets the Bombos, but, he knows where everything is. He knows how to get it.
Alrighty, I'm glad you guys are all bearing with me here. I've seen ratings in the chat. They want you to have a better co-commentator. I gotta step up my game here. We are gonna see something nice from HexMage, though. He's gonna use the pegs to his advantage. Gonna drop down this hole and pick up fairies, which is really nice before the Cold Stare fight. Or not. I'm kind of surprised by that.
I mean, it might have just been a little bit of a... I have no idea what that was for.
Maybe avoiding enemies? I'm surprised by that. Oh, he's going to try to get more magic. If you know Sword Beam strats, he could save magic as well there.
All right. But right now, he's fine. He can get enough magic here, and now he's got plenty.
But folks,
So,
if you find... Sorry,
indirectly, the Bombos was an ice palace.
yeah, I think that's fair. That's definitely a fair statement. Yes, sword beam strats. Oh, HexMage, I love you. Ooh, and we get a tempered in Peg Cave. So just to explain to the audience what we just saw on HexMage's screen with the sword beams. If you have sword beams walking into the cold stare fight, you can actually trick the game into thinking your fire rod shots count twice against the shell by lining up your sword beams with the fire rod shot. If you do it perfectly in this fight, you can use twice as many fire rod shots.
So it basically just involves slashing right after you do the fire rod shot, right?
Effectively, yeah. It just needs to line up at the same time. But HexMage's real close to dying here against Cold Stare.
But he manages to pull it out.
Well, personally, in my opinion, I'm kind of biased here, but I think HexMage should win just because he did Sword Beam Cold Stare. I'm that happy about it. And at this point, though, he does have a significant advantage. Dracarys will check so many things before he goes back into Ice Palace.
All right. So HexMage now flying over to 6. Gonna go pick up that Bombos. And I imagine we'll be seeing a play directly into Turtle Rock.
Now, something of note here, I'm not sure how much HexMage has practiced with Master Sword for Ganon's Tower and Ganon itself, even Turtle Rock. We know that Tempered and Smith chain are in the Peg Cave, so that's not something he's likely to spend any time on.
So I have a question for you. If you're Dracarys, do you go, once you finally pick up the boots, do you go pick up half magic?
Oh my gosh. Good question. I mean, if I was HexMage, I'd be considering it.
I don't think HexMage knows where half magic is.
Oh, you are 1000% right. It took him so long to get the race game, and then he just noped his way out of there.
Looks like Dracarys is going to make the Meyer play after the Smith chain, which was my recommendation. Unfortunately, it's going to turn out to be incorrect.
Yeah, so, I mean, by the looks of things, it doesn't seem like either of our runners are going to take the time. I mean, finding the boots where they were, I don't think anybody's getting half magic today. But we're short of Bird Toss, but we do get an Ether into Myers, so Dracarys is going to be spending quite a bit of time here.
So you remember that Waffle House drive-thru I mentioned a minute ago?
Yes.
So that was the thing.
Wait, did HexMage just do that?
Yep.
Oh my god, how did I miss that? Oh, he did with a hook dash too, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
I gotta check to see if I can clip that.
All right, welcome to Turtle Rock, ladies and gentlemen. HexMage is going to want to see as many small keys as well as a big key as early as possible in this dungeon.
Yeah, thankfully not a lot of things that you can do to slow down or speed up this dungeon outside of just dying. So pretty straightforward at this point. A couple things we could potentially skip though. Wow, no way, no joke. That really was a Waffle House drive-thru. I don't see that too often in Randomizer.
And I mean, it's not even always possible to do, what with the whole RNG of the dead rocks and everything. So not only does it require quite a bit of skill, but you've also got the whole RNG associated with it. Now, you remember when I said you want to find as many keys as possible? That was not it. That was, in fact, as few keys as possible, and the big key is now guaranteed to be in its vanilla location.
Well, normally when you're an NMG, this is the point at Dracarys' screen where you'd be thinking, hey, I got about 20 minutes left in my run, but this is also a place where runs go to die. And today, potentially the truth. I'm not sure yet. I mean, HexMage would have to have some pretty big mistakes to blow the lead that he's pulled off here.
So I do want to make one, potentially important announcement. HexMage has the Tempered Sword. That was from the first chest, which was not a key, like I said, but I think he'll take it.
Yeah, that's definitely a great find. That makes it a lot easier to avoid checking other things, and now that we know that that is the fourth sword, it's definitely a wise choice from our perspective to avoid most other chests.
Yeah,
well,
at this point, I would be pretty hard pressed to want to check more than I had to.
Yeah, an hour 31 minutes into the race. I mean, and being mirrorless for so long, HexMage, I mean, he's playing pretty well composed, but I would be pretty nervous right now about that done. Well, with that big key being accessible to Dracarys, he will be going all the way to the big chest, and possibly even doing Vitreous, depending on whether or not that other item is still available. We did see a 300 rupee. Well, looks like we're killing the eyeballs.
Yep, that is going to be unfortunate for Dracarys, but the good news is you can at least get it done with silver arrows.
Yeah, considerably nicer.
So the reason Hex was going to the big chest there is because he needed small keys. Because he was forced to go to the vanilla big key chest, he has to get 2 more small keys before the end of this dungeon, and there is a good chance that the big chest contains one of them.
Well, by the looks of things, it looks like Dracarys is going to do the pretty standard, old school, I guess at this point, Meyer basement. Going to bomb this wall here. There are ways to trick the game into doing a fire rod shot through a wall, or at least with a splash damage. We call it spooky action from a distance. We're not going to see that today, though.
Yeah, the setup from the portal after you flute is actually pretty nice and doesn't require any like fire rod dashing.
Yeah, it's relatively consistent.
There's that last key that HexMage needs. Not going to check the rest of Laser Bridge. Why would you do it? And HexMage is now going to head to Trinex to get his 7th crystal.
Well, while we're waiting on him to get to that fight, for what it's worth, Dracarys did really well with his Misery Mire. That got done pretty quickly, and really acing his Vitreous fight with a great zero cycle.
Beautiful blue rupee on Vitreous.
Yeah, that's got to feel like you're hitting your head against the wall with that, but, I mean, do you go to Sahasrahla?
And Dracarys, it looks like Dracarys is going to bet on the pedestal today.
Definitely gonna check with the cowboy friend first, but yeah, it's looking like it. Oh no, HexMage is out of magic.
Oh, that's going to be unfortunate. He's going to have to peace out for a bit. And because he didn't take the safety door, he's going to have to go back through the dark maze, or the dark room. So in order to do that, he's going to need more magic.
Yeah, this is a really
and
rough.
He's not going to find it that direction. There you go. Bottom left pot in here has a little bit of magic. Mirror again, and then go back. Or you can just kill the dudes.
Might be hoping for a full magic drop. That'd be pretty convenient.
Or a tiny magic drop. There's one.
For the heart expenditure rate, I'm not sure it's a good trade, but it'll work. So if you didn't think you were going to see Armos 1 today, well, correction for you here.
Yep. I imagine at the end of this, we will be seeing a blind pedestal pull, which will make a lot of people happy, I'm sure, and will make Dracarys very, very sad.
Certainly getting to that point, though. Well, this has got to be the most overloaded clear of Eastern Palace I've seen in a long time. I mean, look at our equipment.
I mean, Dracarys did say that he was going to hundo this seed with his file names.
Seeming to be a pretty accurate statement at this point. Ice Palace, got to be the last place he wants to go back to.
Yes, the boots were in Ice Palace, and you need those to get the Bombos Medallion on top of the torch in Desert Palace.
Of which I mistakenly believed to be go mode, but we definitely needed to get that for Turtle Rock. HexMage getting that full magic heal or refill right before Trinex. Hopefully going to be a little more judicious with his ammo here. Well, he's a little low on health here. 3 hearts left, actually. Has to be very careful with the rest of this fight.
Yeah, the fight gets a little less stressful in the final phase, but still, you got to be careful. And I stand corrected.
Wow, okay. So HexMage does have some magic to work with, though. Can get back to this pretty quickly. In the meantime, we have all 3 pendants, folks. So, with what we do know, what are we going to find there today? I would be so happy through this book. Is this the Master Tome today?
We'll find out for sure.
Do you think that would make this the Rosetta Stone? We do read Hylian with it.
Is there a sword in the Rosetta Stone?
It could be a hieroglyph, I guess, if you look at it a certain way. Hylian does look pretty weird. Which makes me wonder if somebody out there has actually learned Hylian.
It's not single arrow. We know where the single arrow is.
Well, folks, here we go. Brace.
Blue Rupee! As Dracarys unleashes the frustration slashes, and I imagine his next destination will be Ice Palace.
I'm amazed that his relative patience and relative, calm, only 2 rage slashes. I was expecting like a cascade of slashes.
Looks like he's going for the Pyramid Fairy first.
In the meantime, HexMage, fight number 3 versus Trinex. The ice on the floor really proven to be an issue, but he has a lot more health for this space too.
And there we go. HexMage gets the double spin and the slash to finish off Trinex for the 3rd try. And that means, I believe, it is time for everybody's favorite Ganon's Tower guessing game.
Also, folks, there are 22 item locations in Ganon's Tower that could potentially have that big key, and then we need that to progress forward. So we like to play a little game where we guess what we think it's going to be. Get your guesses into chat. You've seen that start already. I can already see them flowing down the screen. And if you are a subscriber to any of the Speed Gaming channels or have donated 250 bits at any point across the channels, you will be eligible to be entered into our leaderboard as well. We love everybody to play. Go ahead and get your guesses in, see if you are the lucky winner today.
We will be cutting this off as soon as HexMage enters Ganon's Tower on our screen, so get your guesses in quick.
So, Dr. Bobtastic, I gotta assume it's Bob that you expect to have the key, right?
I mean, that's clearly the contractually obligated guess here.
That's the only thing I don't like about commentating with you is that I can't take that guess as well. I gotta be doing.
You can.
All right, it's gonna be the vanilla location today. Oh wow, left side.
And rip Bob, because we're getting a small key off of the torch.
Au revoir, my friend. Au revoir. Also, that is item location number 1 being that small key. A lot of people's guesses may be heavily skewed based on that, but good news for Dracarys is going into Ice Palace. We'll find those boots and we'll know that he's behind by a lot. 2 being a heart piece, 3 a bomb bag upgrade, and 4 and 5 both small keys. So with the 4 keys going full right actually looks pretty appealing here.
Yes, I actually definitely agree with this route, and so does my algorithm.
Instantly rewarded with the Swag Net of Destiny and 300 rupees, so that's 7 locations so far.
Gonna go ahead and skip that tile room, which is perfectly fine. I don't know anybody who would do tile room right now. Why would you ever do that?
I almost feel like I have to for my last race because it doesn't matter. You know, I'm definitely not in. I'm mathematically eliminated. Like, it'd just be funny. But yeah, definitely no real reason to do it.
Ooh, HexMage actually ran out of magic here. Or bomb strats to hit that switch.
And narrowly getting it. 8, 9, 10, 11, pretty valueless.
So HexMage is going to go full right side now, which, if you're going to mirror out after the first 4 on left, this is basically what you want to do.
Yeah, this is technically the fastest way to get to Ice Armos, so we're saving some time from doing the 1 or 2 slower. Like, this is your faster chest per minute check. Wow, some really gutsy use of Cane of Burno with almost no magic. I'm kind of curious as to how he's going to get through here from now.
It's going to be a very interesting go. What I'm told is don't use the boots. Oh, Hex is just going to bail.
Yeah, it's a pretty frustrating room when you don't have the magic. Now, this will be a time sink, though. Every little bit, you know, helps Dracarys potentially get back into it if HexMage had really bad fights in Ganon's Tower. Could even, let's just say he had a late death. I mean, that could be something that swings it. Certainly a route that I don't see very often, though. Well, so I believe we've done 11 chests so far. This will be number 12.
Mirror Shield for number 12.
Meanwhile, Dracarys is still looking for those boots. We'll be finding them pretty soon.
Yep. He's going to head over to Iced Tea Room, and that's going to be his final pickup.
His oh no mode?
I believe that is correct. All right, so here is chest number 13. Plus 5 arrows.
Wow, I don't think I've ever seen somebody select mirror and get out of a dungeon that fast before. Oh, there's 4 more items in the room we aptly call the Randomizer room. You would never be here in a vanilla speedrun.
Yeah, in fact, if you know what you're doing, you shouldn't even come anywhere near it. Take the path on the right. Chests 14 through 17, all devoid of big keys.
If only it was Key Sanity, that mushroom could have been a real troll. So 17 chests, I mean, Ice Armos could be our savior. I still have some hope in my guess. And Tile Room, if that's your guess, folks, I mean, you're getting pretty close here. That is go mode for Dracarys, though.
Mm-hmm.
Finally right when I say that.
All right, number 18, Bob's chest this time. Small key.
Bob was prepared to offer up a key to prevent his own death, but, we were ruthless. We picked up his torch item anyway. That was a pretty good recovery there for the Ice Armos. His first shot actually hit before.
There it is, chest number 20. Next door to the Vanilla Big Key location.
I've been foiled. But chest 20, if you were the person who guessed chest 20, you have been the victor today. It looks like the first sub or supporter to guess it was Illis24. Congratulations. You win our love and affection and a place on that leaderboard. Well, with that, we've got an ascent to the tower. HexMage here, pretty well equipped. We're not going to get a 4th sword, and we know he has silvers, so this is a very comfy Ganon fight if you're familiar with doing Tempered, which most people should be.
All right, so HexMage is going to make his way through Ganon Ball, run toward the gauntlet.
And we'll go through Ganon Ball Z with relatively few issues, so we'll see if he can handle the rest of the gauntlet in the next episode. Looking pretty good so far, putting silvers to pretty good use. Pots are also very good weapons, as they are in the entire game. Wow, he's getting right through all of that.
And Dracarys gets that butter sword.
Yeah, so we're definitely not
too late, if you ask me.
And it can only save him a little bit of time. I mean, there's Ganon fight, a couple of enemies. You will have a much easier time with Trinex. So that actually will save a significant chunk of time, just not what he needs to have. Well, here comes the Lamolus 2 fight. Here in Gan's Tower, we're doing a refight of all of the Light World bosses, including Aghanim, actually. Which, for once in a while, for how uncommon it is that we actually have to kill Aghanim in Randomizer, we will actually refight all of them.
Yep. Now, HexMage didn't actually fight Armos the first time, but we did see it happen at one point.
Good point. It's beginning to look a lot like Hundo, though. Dracarys really has got almost everything. The only thing I don't think we've seen is the book. And a 4th bottle?
We saw the 4th bottle. It was on the Zor Ledge, I think?
Oh, you're right. Absolutely. Nobody picked that up. And why would you? I mean, B-Torp confirmed, maybe, but, you know, at that point, you really need more than 3 potions?
Not really. And we got a B-Torp from Height Cave guy anyway, so meh.
HexMage will take this magic refill, even though there is another one in the rooms ahead. He'll definitely need it for this torch room here. It actually is possible to do that entire room with only a lamp, but I'm not that good.
Which one?
The one right before Moldorm 2 that HexMage just went through.
That one? Yeah. It's actually not that difficult. You can just kind of hang over the edge and hit the one on the right, the top right.
Well, you say it's not that difficult, but I'll tell you, I've messed it up way too many times.
It happens, yeah. Sometimes you're forced to do it when the fire rod's not required. Uh-oh, HexMage gets a poke and is going to send Moldorm into a frenzy here. But that will finish it off.
Looks like patience paid off for him there. Unfortunately, did not switch to hookshot, so we'll have to wait to do that. Not going to bother with the vanilla Big 20.
I mean, it could be the book.
That would be pretty funny. You know, just a magazine while you're waiting for Ganon. You know, you're in the. This is the waiting room for Ganon, right? It's Geometry Wizard, though. That's probably the more aptly known name by most folks. Just like Aghanim 1, we're going to have to hit him 6 times. The 2 after images will always shoot a reflectable shot, and Aghanim's primary form does sometimes shoot blue balls, 50% chance. They have the same RNG, though, both these runners, so they'll get the same warp patterns and the same blue ball likelihoods, but it can change slightly depending on how you fight them.
All right, so one more hit will take down Aga here. And there we go.
It's looking like a sub 2 hour if everything goes well here with the Ganon fight, and HexMage just making sure that Aghanim 2 actually is down. Good news for Dracarys, though, not having to check the rest of the laser bridge, and we'll have a little bit of magic left to get through the next couple of rooms. Well, Ganon fight here is very fun with Tempered Sword, in my opinion. You need 12 slashes or the equivalent sword spins to advance Phase 1 and Phase 2. If you do it really well, you can do each in 1 cycle. Right now, it looks like he's getting a 2 cycle for the first phase. Doesn't get favorable positioning either, so it'll probably be a 2 cycle as well for this. And at the same time, Dracarys showing us just how fast Gold Sword is for Trinex. Is that a... Oh, it's a 1 cycle. I thought he was going to get a 0 cycle.
No, I think to get the 0 cycle, you have to come in from the back.
That is correct. Wow, 1.5 left for HexMage. Got to watch out for these fire bats here. Just going to take 4 hits. We got to wait for him to jump or be ready to jump before we hit him to make him destroy all the floor here. We already have silvers, so he's going to remind us where they were. And after that, it's just going to take 4 silver arrows. We'll be done. What a dodge.
Needs 1 more hit. And that'll do it.
You know, all things considered, pretty impressed that with the runabouts that Dracarys had to do, that he's entering Ganon's tower at the time his opponent got done. So I think most people that I talk to in interviews will feel pretty good if their opponents, you know, at least finishing when they're in Ganon's Tower. But with that, HexMage will finish with an official Speed Racing TV time as our victor with a 1 hour, 54 minutes, and 37 seconds completion. GG's in chat.
Looks like HexMage has already popped into the setup room, so let's bring him on in. All right, so we are joined by HexMage, the winner of this race. Congratulations.
Oh man, I'm shaking. I did not expect that I could still win after dying that many times and finding the mirror that late on that location.
Exactly. The mirror was our main concern for you for a lot of the race, but it did actually end up sort of helping you in the long run, because you managed to skip a lot of the extra locations that Dracarys ended up checking.
Yes, the moment I found the mirror, the first thing I thought was, I'm not gonna check any mirror location. If anything's in a mirror location, I've lost.
Well, it's good instincts to have. I mean, judging by, both of you had some errors that, you mentioned some deaths. Dracarys actually missing the boots in Ice Palace for a very long time, and that ended up being his downfall.
Yeah, so the real issue was Dracarys, using that mirror, acquired both the Quake Medallion, which was in Graveyard Ledge, and the Ether Medallion, which was on the Spectacle Rock, as you know.
Yeah.
And decided, okay, I'm going to bet that Turtle Rock is one of those, and just started go-moding, and didn't know that it was Bombos until he got up there, and he was like, are you kidding me right now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that hurts.
But this is a really exciting, win for you. I mean, you're going to 5-2, so you have, by math, progressed into the elimination bracket. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, that was my goal. So now let's see how far I can get into the elimination bracket. Whew. But yeah. Well, there is a small chance that Dracarys can still make elimination brackets, because there's like 2 or 3 4-3s that can make it.
Yeah,
but
some number of 4 and 3s will make it. You'd have to have some pretty good tiebreakers to get in, and it's unlikely to change a lot between these first 2 weeks. But it's not completely out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
Well, that being said, you've definitely been doing some things that have paid off well for you. I mean, to get to 5 wins. Is there anything you plan on doing to kind of get ready for this, bracket that starts next week?
Actually, practice. I didn't practice, but I did 1 practice run between last week, which was 2 weeks ago, and this race. So I might be a bit rusty.
So let me go ahead and ask you about that race game. Did you skip that on purpose, or did you?
Yes.
Okay.
I had the active flute, and I thought, well, this saves time to just immediately flute to South Shore. And for a long time, I was thinking, well, if anything really important was at race game, I'll just lose. And I was almost thinking about skipping it when I went to check the dig spot, just because, well, if it was something important, I would have needed it by now. But it turns out it was really important, and I actually did need it right now, so I'm glad I still checked it.
It's kind of interesting how that worked out, because, despite having like a slow Palace of Darkness for that reason, I mean, you didn't actually have to have it too much sooner before that. So, I mean, there could not have been a more important time to remember it. And, looking at the difference in trackers, for example, between you and Dracarys, I mean, Dracarys completed every dungeon.
Oh, wow.
Blindfold pedestal.
I didn't set foot in any pendant dungeon at all.
Yeah, that's true.
All I did was overworld and crystal dungeons.
Hey, there's the book. It was right next to the big key.
Oh, okay.
For Ganon's Tower. So that's actually full Y item completion with the exception of the one bottle both of you skipped at Zora Ledge.
Yeah. So where was Gold Sword?
The one you missed, Peg Cave, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't do Peg Cave. I didn't do Smith Chain at all.
Which that's
because
another
no
weird
mirror.
thing to find. Yeah, if you don't have the mirror, you can't really check it all. I mean, that's one of those things that almost everybody's going to check at some point, but it's kind of interesting to see that this situation pushed you away from it for good reason. I mean, would have been nice to have Tempered sooner, but you did find Tempered. That's what matters.
Yeah, I wanted to... My goal after Shuffle Spot was to go do Smith Chain. But I didn't need to. Oh.
All right, so, congratulations on finishing this race and advancing to the brackets once again. It was it may not have been what you would call the prettiest win, but it was a win, and I'm sure you'll take it.
Yeah, 100%.
Speaking of, seeing everything for the rest of the tournament, obviously, HexMage does have a tournament run to see, and both of these runners, I think, did a fantastic job putting on a great show for us today. I really want to, shout out and thank them for putting on the race, and then, of course, Speed Gaming in the background. But if you liked what you saw, I really recommend that you follow both of these runners. They're obviously prolific randomizer players. They did get to 4-2 prior to this match, and you'll definitely be able to see a lot from them. And for the rest of this tournament, you're definitely going to want to catch it on Speed Gaming 2 through 6, ALTTPR Randomizer, and it's ALTTP Randomizer 2 through 4 as well.
All right, so Dracarys taking care of Landmo 2 there. Basically, Dracarys was entering Ganon's Tower at the moment you crossed the threshold for the Triforce.
I was really happy that I actually made it to Ganon's tower before I saw Dot done. So, turns out it was the other way around.
Yep. And I'm sure Trinex is haunting your brain right now. You're just like...
Well, the second death, I've never died that way before. Dying to the double spin.
Yeah, that can be a little surprising, I'm sure.
Yeah, but then again, I haven't been able to pull off the double spin for that long.
I think it might have been lined up a little bit too far south into the wall, but I have to go back and check that, because, I mean, that's kind of a weird death.
Well, I couldn't get far enough left, so I think I should have been slightly more to the left.
That makes sense. But yeah, I mean, definitely one of those things that's, worth practicing. And I have to assume you probably use the practice hack, right?
Almost never. I just, because I ran this game so much, I just go from, I'll try it this time, and maybe it works. No, I'll try it this time, maybe it works. And at some point, stuff suddenly starts working, and you go, oh, okay. I'll just do that every time now.
Well, there you have it, folks. I mean, from the winner of this race, brute force method of getting good at things, definitely a viable strategy. And, it clearly paid off. I mean, even though we had some, mishaps with Trinex, you were able to take care of some relatively difficult Master Sword and Fighter Sword kills.
Yeah, but as an example, I can't do a scripted Thieves Town. Mostly because I haven't put in the work to just grind that fight. And I get slightly closer every time, but that's probably one of the fights I'll just have to brute force.
Hey, I just got to point it out there. The Vanilla Big 20 chest behind Moldorm 2 was in fact the Vanilla Big 20.
Well, it could be another Vanilla Big 20.
Yeah, Paradox Cave was the highlight of my race there, because 4 big 20s and then the single arrow to, cap it all off.
At least it had flippers, which I didn't need because I had already fake flippered.
Right.
Yeah, that's a kick in the head, isn't it?
You did need it for Swamp eventually, but that's about it.
Well, no, it just meant that if my opponent went up here, he would be doing the same flipper things.
Right.
So it meant my my skip wasn't wasting time, because my opponent was gonna check it regardless because he found flippers up there.
Right, and then of course Now, you went to Aga a little earlier than your opponent did.
Yeah, because I didn't have mirror.
And we were thinking that was probably the case. I mean, it was just it was so crazy though that you had the God Vision to go right to Catfish. I mean, that was like so clutch. And Dracarys didn't make that long of a route to get there either, but you were definitely there very quickly.
Yeah, well, if I wasn't going to go there at that point, when was I going to go?
Yeah, you had a lot of reason to with the hook shot to West Dark World. So I mean, it was very interesting to see how that ended up influencing the checks that you made. And even though it was kind of an unusual routing that we had to do without that mirror, it really worked out.
Yep.
Well, we are actually all the way into the Ganon fight for Dracarys. He's about to finish this up. Gold Sword, definitely going to be a fast one. He's already done 1-in-1 cycle, actually. I'm hoping he'll join us for an interview after this fight. Probably has some thoughts.
I believe it.
Especially if he hears what I've done.
Well, Ganon reminding us where we found our silvers. We definitely know where we found them, though. Setting up for at least a double here, and then that last one should be able to get it with this lighting, so this would be a pretty fast finisher.
All right, so Dracarys finishing off this race with an official time of 2 hours, 6 minutes, and 23 seconds.
GG's. Well, we're going to see if we can get Dracarys in here for an interview. Looks like he's already joined the setup channel. And we are joined by Dracarys. GG, and congratulations on this race. And
yeah, GG to HexMage. That was GG. A hundo again.
Yeah, I was going to say, looks like you got your wish.
It was literally the last possible chest for those boots. Because I go with Ice Palace in the hopes that I win the 2 out of 3 chance of having the Turtle Rock medallion, and of course it didn't.
So basically, so this came down to sort of a way that this tends to go. Basically making the wrong move at the right time. Your opponent actually skipped the race game early on, and therefore didn't have Ether or Quake, and therefore checked the medallion early, and knew that the Bombos was required before going into Desert.
Yeah, in hindsight, I should have just checked Turtle Rock before doing Ice Palace, but I hope that I could just prevent another Death Mountain climb that way and go with Ice Palace first, then go to Turtle Rock. And I was not very happy to see that Bombos on Turtle Rock then. But at least I knew where Bombos was at this point, so I was only searching for the boots. And Ice Palace was obviously the last place I would return to after that. I even blind pulled Pat, because why not?
We were pretty hyped for that. Greatly appreciate that you pulled that one.
Yep, and you managed to completely fill out the Y item bracket as well. It's pretty great.
Oh, true. I got the book after the GT Wiki.
Yeah, that's a pretty funny spot for that, isn't it?
I would have liked the book earlier, so I could have read the pedestal.
Yeah, there was a point where you cleared Skull Woods, and that would have been the best time to at least get some intel on it. But yeah. Well, so how are you feeling about your tournament? I mean, definitely a very strong run. 4-3 to finish is, regardless, that's still a great record.
Yeah, I'm still happy with my performance. I have a positive win record, so that's pretty good. Unfortunately, I lost all 3 races in the exact same way. That feels kind of bad, because I always got bottlenecked to one location. It was always the boots that bottlenecked me.
Oh.
But what can I do? That's just random. It was still a pretty great tournament for me, and I will continue watching the bracket stage, and I hopefully will do better in the fall tournament.
Yeah, we
Well, I'm
hope to
excited.
see you there. All right, so is there anything else you'd like to add about this particular seed or anything else you want to shout out before we wrap things up here today?
Nah, not much. It was still fun to play, even though I hundoed. And thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for the commentary. And that's basically it from me.
Same thing for HexMage. Any other final comments or remarks you want to make about the seed or this race?
God, I hate not having blue mail.
Yeah. Magic Bat. Magic Bat was the one you were missing.
Oh, it was the other mail upgrade? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Smith Chain had a lot of upgrades.
Okay. Well, other than that, thank you guys for hosting this race, and I'll see you guys in the brackets.
We're looking forward to it. Well, folks, if you are tuned in here for speed gaming to watch more Randomizer, which I'm hoping you are, there's a lot more on the table for today. You're going to have another match on this channel, actually, in about 40 minutes, Rubel versus Yagamoth. But we do have two currently ongoing matches that have just started recently. On Speed Gaming 3, we have Shaw versus Willard J. Bradley, our very own. Brew on some coffee for him. And then we also have on Speed Gaming 4, Pink Kitty Rose versus Chauncey J. Both of those starting at 3. We've got matches at 6, including my own, as well as another one. That one will be on Speed Gaming 3. I'm an ALTTP Randomizer 2. We got 7 p.m., 8, 8:30, 9, all the way into the night. Lots of Randomizer action today.
All right, so if you want more rando, we've got it for you. Make sure to watch the Speed Gaming and ALTTP Randomizer channels for all of that action today. So I want to once again thank both of our runners for the show they put on here today. And I, of course, want to thank our tracker, Cassidy Moen, for keeping track of all of those items. Well played. And, of course, to you Daemonistic, for riding along with me today.
Hey, I'm happy to have the all-star Dr. Bobtastic on comms with me. I'm definitely pulling my weight for me when I've had some questionable statements, including modes of types. So thank you so much for for pulling me through on that.
Well, somebody once told me that, no, sorry, you said all-star and I had to go there. Anyway, so yeah, if you enjoyed what you saw here today, the best way to support those involved is to give them a follow here on Twitch, and I'm sure we would all appreciate it. So with that, I think it's about time to wrap things up. So I will just say that I have been Dr. Bobtastic.
I've been Daemonistic, and we'll see you guys next mission.
See you later.